the coonery. Shout out to Ella who made this video, broke it down. I've seen BuzzFeed report on this video, but you guys, did you hear about the Tarte Cosmetic? I don't even know what this company is. This is the first time I'm hearing about this company. Tarte Cosmetics has been called out for being racist, and there's a lot of coonery going on. So I'm gonna watch this and react to it. Come on now.
Fair.
Oh, what's this? No. Let's go.
Fair sand, fair neutral, fair light neutral, light neutral, light sand, light medium neutral, light medium honey, medium sand.
That's basically
medium
all
neutral, medium tan
the
honey,
skin tones,
tan honey,
the white
deep
skin
honey,
tones that they have.
rich sand, mahogany.
This is basically trash. What about the brown girls, the olive girls, the yellow girls, the red bone girls, the dark skin girls, the caramel girls? What about those girls?
Welcome back to my channel, Mother Suckers. Hey, so the beauty brand Tarte, who has been called out in the past for being covertly racist in the beauty community, is now trending again on TikTok with a new demographic of beauty influencers who are calling them out again for the same things we did 5 years ago. Influencers such as Jackie Aina, Alyssa Ashley, Patricia Bright, and Ellery called out Tarte for their lack of diversity with their shades. They literally had 13 shades for white skin tones and 2 shades for darker skinned people.
So here's my thing, like off the bat. Fair enough, this was in 2016 when they called them out, or 2017. Fenty Beauty came out in 2017. So Fenty Beauty was new. But what I'm trying to understand is, when we have Fenty Beauty, when we have Pat McGrath, why are we purchasing from companies that have made it clear that they don't want to accommodate us? That's number one. And more importantly, as Black people, why are we purchasing from non-Black companies when Fenty Beauty literally covers all colors of the rainbow? Why on earth would you buy from anybody other than Rihanna or Pat? Why? This makeup I'm wearing right now, Fenty, Pat, that's it. Why on earth? Like, we need to understand the importance of putting the Black dollar back into Black people. Why? When you don't recirculate the Black dollar within the Black people, when you don't focus on Black economic empowerment, you have to deal with the repercussions. And this video is going to break down the repercussions of that.
And so after these influencers called out Tarte for having such a variety of shades for white skin tones and really only 2 options for dark skin tones, they said that they would add a shade extension for the summer because shades are seasonal and skin tones are seasonal.
I would like Tarte to know that my skin tone isn't seasonal. This is my skin tone all year round. 2, I feel like if they're planning on extending the shades, they should have just waited and launched it all together, because essentially what you're doing is kind of prioritizing the lighter skin tone, and you're making people with a deeper...
I just don't, for me, is all this whinging that I'm hearing. 5 years ago, Fenty Beauty was out. Why are you buying... If a company has 3 color palettes, they're not accommodating you. So why are you begging them to accommodate you when our homegirl Rihanna has more than accommodated us with a superior brand? Because this Tati whatever makeup thing doesn't even look good. Fenty Beauty is superior. Pat McGrath is superior. That freaking foundation,
skin tone feels somewhat inadequate.
And this is why Fenty was so important and so necessary for Black women, especially and women with darker skin tones, because it was rare to find a brand that not only had shades for dark skin tones, but also shades for deep dark skin tones. But now fast forwarding to 2023, Tarte has been trying to beat those racist allegations for years now, but when you are who you are at the core, it will always slip out.
So I was supposed to be going on a Tarte trip and I was going to be leaving tomorrow to go to Formula One in Miami, and I decided that I'm not going to go. I've just been really upset today because...
Oh no. No. Don't watch the ad.
Trip, I'm realizing that I'm not going to be treated like everyone else there. I would love to go on a Tarte trip, and trust me, I'm so grateful, but I have more integrity than to get all the way to Miami and realize that I'm being treated like a second-tier person or like I'm being ranked. It just feels like a sorority situation, and I'm not doing that shit.
I mean, first of all, I don't even do girls trips because they're toxic. Just, you know, it's very hard to find a good group of girls to do a girls trip with, let alone some strangers that happen to be influencers. And then you're now dealing with white supremacy and racism. Girl.
I don't care if this means that I no longer have a relationship with the Tarte team, but I don't agree with how they're doing this. So the actual race is on Sunday the 7th. I was invited to come out from the 4th to the 6th. But initially in the email, it said something about being front row May 7th at the race. So once I realized my flights didn't align with the actual race, I asked them about it, and they said, oh, don't worry, you'll still get to see like the practice races and stuff. But I have some friends that are going on the trip, and I asked them when they were leaving, and they all said they were leaving Monday, and I was the only one leaving Saturday. So I just feel a little stupid. And I understand that my numbers are not like some of these other creators, but I just wish that there was more transparency up front. And I also, like, I have a screenshot of what was said at the beginning of our email thread, so I guess I misunderstood. But either way, I know that Cynthia had a similar experience, and I just don't like that this is happening to people who want to be a part of these Tarte trips. And personally, I don't get why, if they're going to do these trips, they don't just treat everyone the same.
Because they don't want to take care of you. So actually, Tarte has been accused of doing this. So this influencer who was South Asian, she's darker skinned South Asian. She went on this trip with them, the last one. I think it was season 1, they called it. She did a pan of her room tour, and she was excited, but then all these people started commenting, saying, you know, all these people in her comment section were saying, you have more followers than some of the people with bigger rooms. Points are being made. So basically, they were giving some of the white women bigger rooms than her. Some people had balconies in their rooms, all these things, and these people had smaller followings than her. And so she also thought that was iffy. But then the CEO kind of responds, and this is why it was so offensive, that the CEO decides to do this insensitive and tone-deaf response. I'm not even going to play the video because I don't even want to advertise her brand. But I think she's a founder. She's doing a get ready with me with her makeup and explaining why. Can you imagine the audacity? You're so tone deaf that you're trying to sell us a product. Instead of you to do a real apology video for your racism, you are doing a get ready with me video. Man, you guys, anyway, you're doing a get ready with me video, putting on your makeup and basically dismissing and doing your hair and curling your hair and smiling. Let me read what BuzzFeed says. While applying foundation and curling her hair, Kelly said in a video, this weekend we're going to F1 and I wasn't thinking about what's going on at the track. I was just thinking, how do we get the most people to have this fabulous experience? So we made a plan for everyone to have one day on the track one day at the racetrack, one really nice dinner and one really fun night in the club. So everyone was coming, blah, blah, blah. Notably, everyone did not stay in the same amount of time. In fact, some creators from the season 1 cast were invited to stay for season 2 and continue longer on the trip. Kelly also shared thoughts on the room size disparities, saying that she grew up in a large family, and from her experience, we when you're going on a trip in a house, not every room is the same size, which is true. And for me, I value having more people there as opposed to a handful of people being in a big room and having a smaller room. So for me, it's give the bigger room to the person with the most following, or make everybody sort of like, do a, because even me, like I have two sisters, so they're older than me. Traditionally in Nigeria, they should get the bigger room than me, but sometimes we would just do turns. Or you can find a way to do it in a democratic way, as opposed to the blacks and the coloreds. Let's put them in the smaller rooms and let's give the whites who have a smaller following and who are less significant, let's give them the bigger room because we cherish you more. Kelly concluded by sharing, I realized that things that were important to me were maybe not important to everyone else. So the team and I quickly adjusted and got a ton of extra tickets so everybody can go whichever race day they want. I don't want to read this. It's just irritating, but people responded and are basically saying what I'm saying. I invited everyone to a Formula One weekend and wasn't thinking about the actual race day. So basically, you invite her to the Formula One weekend, but you don't invite her to race day, but you invite other people to race days. And that's not like iffy to you, right? How do you plan a trip around and for an event and then say you didn't plan the trip considering the event? Girl missing the point on purpose, but it seems to be on brand with Tarte. The long story is, it's one thing for these influencers to do these brand sponsorships with a company like Tarte, but you as a consumer, you buying into this business as a black person or a person of color, buying this business that doesn't even respect you, doesn't even rate you, that's shameful. That is shameful. But anyway, this thing gets worse. So they basically, anyway, let's keep going.
I have worked too hard to get to where I am today, and I will be damned as a black creator if I accept anything other than equal treatment on these trips. And yes, Tarte can do whatever the fuck they want to do. Yes, they can, but I don't have to accept or agree with it.
Coming from a South Asian community, a lot of the time we are just...
This is the girl that got the smaller room.
Looked over. I am a plus size creator, and I also come from Newark. By just inviting me on this brand trip, so many...
I don't know what coming from New York, New Jersey is like. Why is that an issue?
People who look like me will feel like they can make it as well. I know this job, this trip, and the life I live is a privilege, but I've worked for it. And now to address the elephant in the room, was my room too small? Please just hear me out, because trust me, I literally hear how such a first world problem this sounds. This is the storyline. After I land, I go see my room. I'm super ecstatic. Everything is perfect. Like, I literally cannot believe I'm at Prince's house. I can't believe the room I have. I can't believe all the free merch I've gotten. I'm over the moon and I'm super excited.
If you're looking to start a simple and scalable online business that can make you at least
However, the first night when I'm in bed editing, I come across the other girls' TikToks where they're showing their room tours, and this is when I feel some type of way. This may not make sense to a lot of you, but just please hear me out. I'm a brown minority creator in this influencer, content creator, TikTok era, and a lot of the times I get the short end of the stick. Whether it's getting paid less for the same advertisement or not getting paid at all. I 100% agree that that room is more than enough. I don't even have a bedroom myself that is the size of the room I got. However, I do believe I am worth what I am worth. I hope people will understand is it was never about the size of the room. It was just about getting treated equally to my counterparts / coworkers.
That's right.
And if you think there's something wrong with that, you have every right to call me out.
Or you mind
I also want to explain how I did talk to the Tarte team, and they did explain to me how certain rooms were chosen for certain people and the other rooms were random.
And so once again, we have a black and brown creator sharing their experiences with Tarte and saying that Tarte is not inclusive and that Tarte just...
Why are you not wearing Fenty Beauty and Pat McGrath? I don't understand.
This invites Black creators to look inclusive, but they don't treat everyone equally. I mean, really, one look at their social media platform, one look at their products, and you already know what it is. In both cases, Tarte's excuse was that things were chosen by random. So in Sin's case, she was chosen by random to have the smallest room out of all of the girls, and she was the only brown girl.
Okay, so this is where the story gets actually really, this is where it started to piss me off. So this girl, and I actually watched this, what's her name? Bria Jones. I watch her content. I love her YouTube channel. You know, I'm a fan of her. So I'm really like, to me, the way that she backtracked, that to me was like, what's going on here? But let's play this. She's a victim, so
after Tarte got their lashings from the girlies on social media, Bria then came out to say this.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to come on really quick and say thank you for your messages. I wanted to update you that I've been in contact with Maureen and the Tarte team, and we are very much so on the same page with everything. There was miscommunication on both ends, and I recognize my mistake in responding so quickly and publicly, but Tarte has done a great job of working through the situation with me. So I know we're both glad to be moving forward in a positive way. For my mental health, I'll be taking a break from TikTok. That is why I deactivated my account, but I'm looking forward to, you know, just getting in a better place and reconnecting with you guys soon.
Oh my goodness. To me, okay, so I heard the possibility that they're probably threatening to sue her, and that's why, allegedly, that's why she had to make that response. I would have doubled down and I would have countersued, actually. I would double down. If you're going to call someone out for being racist, you have to stick to that. And like, since they have a history of this, you have to stick to it and you double down. But for you to now go in front of your audience and say, oh, there was a miscommunication, misunderstanding, you're just now an enableist. You're a white supremacy enabler. That's a coon. And that's what they'd use to specifically, this is a systematic oppression that has been happening for 500 years. If you don't understand the systems that are right, plain and simple in your face, you don't understand that today in 2023, you don't understand that this is a system that they're using because they don't want you to disgrace them. They don't care about Black people, so why even try and let them tap into the Black dollar? If you know that happened to you, you should not want Black people to purchase from that company. Point blank, period. And people of color. Buy from Black owned businesses. Fenty Beauty. Pat McGrath. Why are you buying from a non-Black owned business? When you understand the systems of oppression with Black economic empowerment, if you don't know, you watch my channel, watch this channel. I have a lot of videos that will inform you. Watch the documentary I made on the creation of white supremacy. I'll put a link somewhere here. Go watch that so you guys can understand that we can't keep making the same mistakes. If you don't know your history, those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. This is the same coonery that happened on throughout the slave trade during slavery in America. They just brand it in a different way, and people are so willing because you want to save face and you want to get along with them. But you could actually countersue them, affirmative action. Well, that's not the right terminology, but countersue them, call them out for their racism, expose them for trying to silence you. When you have proof and you have evidence that they've been racist, and Black people just stop buying from them. Why are we buying from them? Why are we buying from them? I don't understand. I don't understand this coonery. Fenty Beauty, Pat McGrath. Why are you buying from any other brand? We need to keep the Black dollar within the Black community. This is the only way we can have Black upward mobility systematically. So I've never even heard of this brand. I've never even heard of it. So I'm trying to understand how you guys, I know you guys are in the beauty community, so you would have, but why, this is the thing that's pissing me off. Okay.
So let me just say this. I believe Bria's first statement. I believe she felt how she felt. She experienced what she experienced. I don't understand how it was a miscommunication if she then emailed Tarte and said, hey, what's going on with these dates? And they said, oh, don't worry, you'll still be able to see the practice. She reached out to some influencers who were also going on a trip, and they said, yeah, they were all leaving on Monday. So I'm not sure where the miscommunication came from. If she emailed them for clarity, and they were clear. They told her you weren't booked to stay for the full trip. Someone said they paid her off, didn't they? As someone who's studying PR, I'm telling y'all right now, this was definitely drafted by Tarte's PR team. They definitely threatened a lawsuit if she didn't comply.
Boom.
She's not okay. That's crazy how they just punked her and made her make this video. You can tell this was for them. There are hundreds of more comments of people saying that this is some sort of PR stunt. Maybe Bria was threatened. Maybe her career was on the line. Child.
So anyway, I'm so grateful that people can see through these things. I'm so grateful for TikTok, and if the US takes TikTok away, we got to figure something out, because TikTok allows us to access this information and, you know, easily disseminate this information around white supremacists and articulate it better. And they're trying to take away TikTok from us. Let's keep going.
If you know, you know. Now, to make matters worse, after Bria came out to say that this is what happened and this is why she didn't go on the trip, Tarte then invited 3 Black dark-skinned women on the trip.
Hi from Tarte. It's Rex and Blazers in.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Fanita.
Yes.
And now here.
And this is the problem with Black people. Like, Black people, we are always ready. Historically, I'm not saying that like this is not something that we can unlearn. I'm saying historically, always ready to throw somebody under the bus for money. I did this documentary, right? The Great Divide. You guys got to go watch that. It talks about how Nigeria. I went to Badagry slave port, one of the biggest slave ports in the transatlantic slave trade. I went there. I'm Nigerian American, Nigerian originally. I went there and I saw the gin bottles. I saw the umbrellas. I saw the cannon guns that they used to trade slaves for. One gin bottle was 10 slaves. Cannon gun was 100 slaves. And who was selling their people? Africans, Nigerians. Selling your brother. Fair enough, some of them didn't know the extent of the slavery. They didn't know. But you are betraying your brother and sister for a gin bottle and perceived value today. Perceived value today, because you didn't realize that. There's so many books to go read. How Europe underdeveloped Africa. The perceived value today. And we see this happening time and time and time again, betraying our brothers and sisters for a check. Today, fair enough, it's no longer gin bottles. We've wisened up. Today now, it's money. In America, the equivalent of that, trader, which is Africa's political class, who actually perpetuate this system of keeping Africa poor with the West. They're in cahoots. Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Go read that book. So they're in cahoots today. The American equivalent of that is the house slave. The house slave, the Candace Owens, that will betray. They will betray their people. Why? For white validation, whether it's through money, resources, or whatever. I just made a video about Tiwa Savage, who performed at the coronation. Same thing. We do this thing for a check. And the problem that we don't understand, the root of the problem is that why was capitalism created? White people are not inherently evil, despite what a lot of platforms that talk about racism will tell you. White people are not evil. White supremacy was created. White supremacy or capitalism was created, white supremacy was created because of capitalism. It was just a tool to convince the European public that it's okay to buy slaves. That's it. They wanted them to buy slaves because slaves means you get free labor, all that stuff. They had to convince the European public that it's okay to have slaves. So they had to teach them, give them the indoctrination of white supremacy that tells them that black people are inferior, they're below us, they're beneath us. It's the same system. Go watch my documentary. So capitalism is inherently flawed. And see these people, this girl is going to start talking about her capitalistic ways. It's inherently flawed. And the coonery of black capitalism is what this woman, who happens to be Nigerian, I'm not surprised, because look, we don't learn black history, especially not about slavery. I keep telling you guys, I didn't learn black history in school. Did not learn it. Because I schooled in the UK, schooled in America, only in 11th grade in high school for 1 month. That's the only time in my whole school career that I ever learned black history. When did I learn black history? It was after graduating college, when I started making documentaries, like a year or two after I graduated. That's when I started learning black history. I never knew it before. And the thing is, like in Nigeria, black history was removed from schools. Like Nigerians don't know this history. So Nigerians fall into the capitalistic traps, which we're now waking up to. Obviously, anyone that just picks up these books that I'm telling you, it's so important that we read them so we stop making the same mistake, because those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. That's why it's so important, if you really want to stop being treated like this. First of all, it starts with buying Fenty and buying Pat McGrath, putting your money into black-owned businesses first, making sure like it circulates, because I think the dollar in America, in some communities, it circulates like 15 times, 16 times, 11 times. With us, or 11 days, 15 days, 11 days, whatever. With us, it's seconds. We have to change that. That's why we're not building, because once we put our money into a white business, they keep it amongst themselves. So we have to keep our money amongst us so that we can empower ourselves economically. That's the only way. So that's why it's so important that we have to roll together. When you hear a company is racist, you boycott it. But then of course the coons come in, and of course, look, I'm Nigerian American, so I know when I see a Nigerian, I know the mentality. I know the ignorance, and it's black Americans too. But especially in Nigeria, I know that brand of ignorance that doesn't even understand, because in Nigeria, you don't see the white supremacy in your face. You never learned it. You don't see the whites in your face. So you don't understand the system, and how the funny thing, the irony is that Africa suffers more than black America from white supremacy till this day. Confessions of an Economic Hitman, go read that book.
I just want to say sorry that I'm living my best life.
Dummy.
So Nike, Anel, and Fanita were pretty much dragged for not standing in solidarity with other black and brown influencers, other dark-skinned influencers who have been done wrong by Tarte.
And for me, it's like you guys are so cheap for a trip to Miami. Like, what the hell is... Like, your price is so low. You'll betray your race, just like your ancestors that did it for an umbrella and a gin bottle. That's what the perceived value of today, of trip to Miami. That's what it took for you to betray your race, and you don't think that's coonery? It's just the ignorance.
And followers were really disappointed in Fanita, as she recently had a scandal with a brand called Pyrex, where she went through the exact same thing of being lowballed and left out when it came to brands being equal to...
Okay, to some degree, I can't blame them, because people aren't educated about these histories, because white supremacy has ensured the erasure of our history. So people don't understand this. And again, those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. And so this is why I'm giving you all the resources. I'll put a few links below from my videos that will help you understand how to navigate this. But it really starts with my documentary, The Great Divide. And I go into the creation of white supremacy, who created it, how it was created, and how it was used as a system. Then the books I'm telling you to read, there's a reason I'm telling you to read them. If you really want to understand, you have to read How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. You have to read Confessions of an Economic Hitman. You have to read those books so you guys can really understand the depths of this thing. This is the only way we can break the cycle. If not, you can continue to cry. You cry one day, the next day you betray somebody else. But you're betraying yourself, because it's going to happen to you again tomorrow.
all influencers. Nikkei was also dragged for her really cringy and narcissistic response to being Tarte's second choice to go on this Miami trip. Y'all, check this out.
I knew the truth before I came on this trip. Bria misunderstood what was going on.
You're an idiot.
You know what I'm saying? And so for y'all to like foam at the mouth to attack America's sweetheart, you should learn a lesson. Fanita always comes out on top. And y'all have, you know what I'm saying, kind of tainted my very first brand trip. So thanks for that, I guess.
This is where, you know, like the poverty is so bad in the Black global community. The poverty is so bad that for a trip to Miami, that's how low your price is. This is why we need it more than ever before to educate ourselves, number one, and to ensure that we spend our money on Black-owned businesses. We need it more than ever before. By you buying Fenty Beauty, by you buying Pat McGrath, you are literally an activist. You are literally empowering Black people, because that system goes back, because Rihanna's hiring Black people. Pat McGrath is hiring Black people. That system of wealth keeps circulating within our communities, which makes us richer. But when you put your money into a company like Tarte, whatever their name is, Tarte, or I don't know, when you put your money to that company, it goes to white people so that they can treat you like the dog. They could give you the doggy room and the doggy bag. Wisen up. Wisen up. Wake up.
But I'm going to try to enjoy what little of it is left. So y'all can please leave me alone now.
She looks young.
Thank you.
She looks young.
Kindly.
So I don't know.
Y'all was putting the dark skinned girls through
Shut up. Now you want to talk about your dark skin when you now you want to mention that when your behavior is what makes dark skinned women go through hell.
Bro, y'all put the dark skinned girls through hell today.
Ignorant.
And only us.
There's nothing
There's 6 Black girls on this trip and only us. We fought so hard. We sat here. We negotiated. What's that about? We argued.
Yeah. What was that about? Y'all foamed at the mouth.
The part that's so dumb and stupid to me is that you are promoting this brand. You're using your platform to promote a brand, to make them richer, to make Black people purchase from them. And they treat Black people like shit, and you don't see the problem? The woman's Get Ready With Me video, where she was talking about a serious issue about discrimination. She chose to do her hair and do her makeup. That was her response. That's how blasé and insignificant your issues are to her, but you still want to promote Black people to buy into her products. Was
attacking us all day. We beat the alligator.
And I just happened to see one of the videos of one of the girls complaining about it and another girl stitching it and saying, you know what? I was put in a room smaller than a toilet, and I just took it for what it was, and I was happy with what they gave.
She said you really can't make this shit up. She said that they put her in a room next to a toilet and she was happy. This is what I mean by when I say the poverty is serious. The poverty is serious, that they gave me an umbrella. I'm so happy. I should be grateful I got an umbrella.
With me, and I'm not gonna complain. And I wrote under the comment, half glass full would get you very far in life. Back in the day, we were just happy to be invited anywhere. I mean,
well, shut up, because back in the day, the whole influencer landscape did not exist. It's all relatively new. It only started really popping, I want to say around 2014, when people started making money, real money from it. So yeah, of course, back in the day, you were happy to get scraps, but that's not the ecosystem that we're in right now. The game has changed. Now, the internet is a lucrative business. So saying that, I'm just happy to get scraps, I'm just happy to get an umbrella. And she's Nigerian, I can tell. I think her name is even Nika. She's Nigerian, just like her ancestors. They were happy to get umbrellas and gin bottles to sell. Look, I'm Nigerian American. Hey, I'm just telling you, it's the same mentality. They were just happy to get gin bottles and umbrellas to betray their brothers and sisters and sell them into slavery, even though, granted, they were ignorant to the scope of white supremacy and the scope of the British Empire. Sure, they were ignorant to the brutality of what is happening, and that's how white supremacy proliferates. They keep you ignorant, they gaslight you, they deflect, deny, distract, just as that woman was doing in that video. They deflect, deny, distract you from all of those things, just as that woman was doing in that video. And so then you think you can get away with this, but all it takes is for you to read some books and educate yourself, and you'll realize that you're supporting and you're enabling. What you're enabling. Like the police say, I've never been stopped by the police, but if the police stop you, what do they say? Ignorance of the law does not excuse you from breaking it, or does not, something you from breaking it. Essentially, which means that just because you don't know that you broke the law doesn't mean that it's not illegal, and doesn't mean that you're not going to go to jail. Just because you're ignorant to the systems of white supremacy, you know where I'm going with this, doesn't mean that you're not a coon, doesn't mean that you're not an enablist of white supremacy, or an ableist. That's the word. White supremacy ableists. This coonery must stop. We must educate our people. This is why I'm making this long ass video.
Doing this for 14 years, 10 years full time, and I used to sleep on trains to go to New York Fashion Week. Ask my assistant. I would sleep on floors. I would sleep on trains, like just get a quick nap on trains, change in the back alleys, just so I can sit front row. And I never complained. It is what.
Oh my God. So there's a term for this mentality that she's exhibiting. And it's a very Western, obviously Western, therefore designed by white supremacy, thing about pick yourself up by the bootstraps. And it's all this sort of individualistic me, myself, and I mentality. But when you actually think about white supremacy, they didn't pick themselves up from the bootstraps. They didn't, figure it out on their own. They literally took some black bodies, slaughtered half of them, stepped on their necks, stepped on their backs, and found their way to the top. That's how they went to the top. But a black person is supposed to figure out how to fly to the top. And guess what? We still fly there. But just because you were special and you were able to do that does not mean that it is right, and does not mean that it should be done. Because there's even an African proverb. Go alone and go fast. Go with a lot of people and go far. As black people, we need to go far. We can no longer enable people like her who can go fast and then crash. Because what she's built is not an empire. What she's built is not generational wealth. It's not going to pass herself to her kids, let alone the systems of white supremacy that have been proliferating for the past 500 years. That's not what she's building. She's building herself and her own self. And as black people, we need to wisen up. We need to go far. It's time to go far. It's no longer okay to go alone and pick yourself up by the bootstraps. That's not acceptable anymore. So this mentality, this capitalistic mentality, which is inherently flawed and actually is the real trap, because when you look at capitalism, when you look at what the people that thrive in capitalism, who are the people that thrive in capitalism? Who are the most successful Americans? Indian Americans, not Native Americans. Indian, South Asian, Indian Americans. Why? Because they go together. Because they will all live together in the same household. Mother, father, son, son's wife, children, grandchildren. Everybody in the same household. They save money on rent. They're sharing community, and they're making $150,000 a year. They're CEOs of tech companies. They're making so much money, and they're spending little because of community, because they went together, and that's why they've gone further than the white man. But as Africans, because we've been broken and conditioned to be the stepping stone of the white man, the mentality is, well, I figured out how to get out of the trap. And where the hell has she gone? Look, I grew up in money. I grew up in real money, a lot of it, right? So if anybody understands what it's like to be at the top, if anybody understands that, it is me. So I actually don't have to be doing this. I don't have to be sitting here and explaining to you all these things. I could be like, I don't care about the rest of the Black people. Who cares? I could literally do that and be like, I don't have to care about Black people. I don't have to be, but because I was poisoned with this mentality, this thought, and I didn't understand why. This mentality that I was better than everyone because I had money, or my father had money. I shouldn't say I had money, because it was, this mentality that you're superior. And then when I started growing up and wisening up and started reading and started understanding white supremacy, wait a minute. First of all, it was life that taught me that I wasn't better than anybody. You get cut, you still gonna bleed. That was the first thing. But as I started understanding the systems, and I started understanding that, like, by holding this Chanel bag, I need to walk into the room and hold the Chanel bag and wear the diamond watch for me to know that I belong here as a Black woman. But a white woman can just walk in, she doesn't have to wear any of that, and she's accepted. And then when you start questioning that sort of mentality, you start understanding that it's fickle. You start understanding that there's an attack on your race. And you start understanding that, no, we cannot do this. I could actually quit right now and not do this, and I'll be fine. I don't have to do this. I don't have to be on here preaching to you guys about anything. I don't have to be on here talking about, Black Lives Matter. I could decide, look, I don't care. I just want to chill or whatever. I could do that. But that's not what my calling is, because I woke up from the prison of white supremacy. And even though I would never acknowledge it as white supremacy, because in Africa, we don't even know that the whites are affecting us, because we don't see them in our faces, the mentality. Do you understand? My ancestors literally sold slaves. Like, my ancestors were the kings of Benin, sold slaves. Right? So conditioning to think that you're superior is a generational thing for me. But where does that all come from when you start breaking it down? Where does that all come from? Then you realize, wait, it's wealth and your proximity to wealth. And you start understanding, wait a minute. And I this is not the life that I chose. This is not the life that's for me to do that. My life is right here, explaining to you guys the system. So wherever she thinks she's gonna go, however far she thinks she's gonna be successful, I've been there. I've met the people, I've been in the private jets, I've done it all. And it's not worth it. What is worth it is to bring your people with you. Is to systematically improve all Black lives. And we do that together as a tribe, not as individuals. Whatever nonsense she's saying. But let me keep watching this cringe.
What it is. If we get invited, great. If not, great. So I just said that publicly, like, back in the day, we were just happy. So then I thought, wait, I know all the girls who work for Tarte on a personal level. Like, it's stupid of me not to at least check up on them and see how they're doing, because I know they're not racist, and I know they're so sweet to me, and they've always treated me well.
I know that they're so sweet to me, and they're not racist to me, and they treat me well. But you don't care about your people. You care about you. That's the problem. The individualism in Blackness is the trap that white supremacy has created to keep Black people poor. Giving Black people that have left the conditionings, because let me explain this right. White supremacy does not thrive if only white people benefit from it. They had to open small doors for certain Black people to have access, and have those Black people, the house slaves, oppress their own people. That was the conditioning, because if they shut Black people out, Black people would revolt. And so that doesn't work. So you have to let some Black people in the door. That's how it works. But the system of white supremacy was not created to have many Black people thrive. It just wasn't created that way. And guess what? It's still proliferating today. And it's still intentionally being implemented today. That's the part that people don't get. And when you read that book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, you'll really understand the way that it's still Africa is actively being attacked to stay underdeveloped. Actively. But they only allow that 1% of Africans to thrive under white supremacy. and capitalism. And some people are fine to be the coon, like Candace Owens. Some people are okay with that. Maybe that's their mission in life. But my mission in life is not to enable those people. My mission in life is to wake you guys up, for you guys to understand this is not acceptable.
And so I said, hey, just checking in on you guys. I hope everything is okay. Like, you know, I know back in the day we were just happy to get invited to something. And she's like, can you call me? I said, yeah, sure. We got on the phone. I was just sitting in my car, like, getting ready to take a meeting on the phone. And she goes, can you get on the plane right now and come to Miami? I said, huh? She's like, Nikki, Specs and Blazers, come on. Get on the plane right now and come to Miami. I called my assistant. I said, you're going to get on the plane right now and come to Miami? She's like, huh? I was like, yeah, we're going to Miami. Unfortunately, she can't make it. She already had another plans. But I was like, damn, that's it. I'm going to Miami. Why not? Listen, there is absolutely nothing wrong with calling brands out. I'm the queen of it. I built a whole brand around calling brands out. That is actually literally my brand. But what I do, calling brands out publicly and still getting campaigns out of brands every single time, it's an art. It's a talent to cause that much chaos and come out unscathed every single time. One thing about Specs and Blazers, I would never be broke. I would never, like, I've been gone for 6 months and I've worked harder in the last 6 months. Brands are like, no, we can't have you retire. We need you. The industry needs you.
Can she get over herself? Like, she's so full of herself. She's such a loser. Like, what is she even talking about?
Let me explain this to the younger generation of influencers. You can't, if your brand has never been calling out brands and one day you put a camera in front of your face and started doing it, you just look crazy. Albeit, it's a very chill industry.
She's wrong, because you can actually just wake up and decide you're going to call out brands. If you build a following and you own your following, first of all, the most important thing, and I just made, you go follow my other channel, Brand Video Pro, you should be looking at building your own product and being your own brand and making your own money. Because when you make yourself reliable to other brands, that's when you lose out. That's when you become somebody's bitch. You have to be an owner. We need more Black owners. We need more ownership in the Black community. Aside from, you know, Fenty Beauty and all those things, you need ownership. Nobody's going to tell Logan Paul how to act. Nobody's going to tell Mr. Beast how to act, because at the end of the day, they own their own companies. You cannot cancel them. And it's not about the fake, you can't cancel me like Kanye, who has a licensing deal with Adidas that got him to be a billionaire. No, he had no ownership. You have to really have ownership. And so that you don't have to wait on a brand to approve you. And that's why I can sit here. I don't need any brand. I don't need any brand. Of course, I'd love to get brands as a supplementary income, but I'm not relying on brands to make my shit pop, to put money in my pocket. I'm not doing that. So, like, you guys have to figure out the business. You have to understand the business of this game, not, putting your hand out for brands to feed you. No, you have to be authentic to your audience and your brand. And you should, if you really want to survive in this game and thrive in this game, you need to sell your own products. Go watch the video on my channel about why Vice and BuzzFeed failed. And I break it down in that video.
We do whatever we want, and you know, that's the whole point of being influencers. It's still an industry rooted in capitalism. So all the rules of capitalist culture still applies to influencer.
So I don't know if she understands what she's saying, and she understands the roots of capitalism, like I just broke down for you. But in a way, she's kind of saying that she's complicit. She's happy being the house slave. And if you don't like it, what's wrong with you?
You have to be calculating. You can take calculated risk, but you have to be calculating. There are just some bridges you do not burn. You don't touch that bridge. And if you've never cultivated strong relationships with all these PR girls, don't put a camera in front of your face and call a brand out. One of the girls who tried to call me out recently, the only brand she's getting money out of, the owner is my friend.
How do you, like, these people are so dumb. And people just think that they have this power, which they don't. People just want to claim proximity to power. You could call any brand out you want. If you own your own brand, you cannot be canceled. So if I were you, I would get books on how to build. You know what? If this video gets 50 likes, I'll make a video on Brand Video Pro about how to build products for your company, for your influencer brand. So I need 50 likes on this video. I'll do that video. But you guys have to get books about, designing products, because the most important thing is that you have an audience. If you have an audience, great. You've done something right. And you don't even need a big audience to start selling products. When you do that, then you can start focusing on the product that you're going to sell. But you want to put yourself in a position, especially Black people, especially we know the ecosystem out there for Black people when it comes to influencers, when it comes to brand deals. So as Black people, we should not be focusing on brand deals. As Black people, we should be focusing on building our own products. 50 likes, guys, and I'll give you that breakdown. And even Logan Paul learned it the hard way, because he was doing all these brand deals, but he had his own merch company doing all these brand deals. He gets canceled and he loses all his brand deals. And they took him off of YouTube partnership, which was his AdSense was insane. They took him off of all of that. So now he's on track to be a billionaire because he has prime hydration. So we have to be thinking like that. We have to be thinking like the 1%, right?
And the owner saw the video, called me and said, "Say no more, that relationship ends right here. Don't burn certain bridges."
Again, because people just think she has power. Oh, the owner called me and I canceled this person's and I cut this person's check. And the people that feel so proud about themselves that they cut somebody's check, God bless you. God help you. But this is why I'm telling you, anyone that's watching this, the only way, especially Black people, the only way that you can ensure that you're never canceled and you can speak as freely as I'm speaking right now. I'll call out any brand I want to call out. I don't give a shit. So if the only way you can do that is to own your own products, that's it. And all these other things should be supplementary income, additional income. It should not be the main course. Because the real game in social media is ownership.
Don't do it. Let me tell you something. I was telling one of my students this. She's incredible, Courtney. And I said, I'm not saying Tarte isn't racist. And I'm not saying they're racist. I'm just saying I know when to use racism to my advantage.
So she's just admitted actively that she uses racism to her advantage. That's what she just admitted. She's literally just telling us that she's a house slave. And she's proud of it. I don't know if she even understands what she's saying, the depths of what she's saying. But she's saying that she's proud to use racism. Something that is oppressing her people. She's proud to use that to her advantage. Meanwhile, her ancestors made the same cheap tricks, selling their brothers and sisters. Look, I'm Nigerian too. For umbrellas, gin bottles, and cannon guns, and all sorts of trivial things that have no value. That even according to the book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, these goods were like waste products, secondhand products, just trash, and they would get 10 slaves. And this woman is saying she's using racism to her advantage instead of her to change her mind, get out of the sunken place. They're Nigerians in the sunken place. Get out of the sunken place and realize that if I use my platform to elevate my people, I will have more opportunities and I won't have to make a career out of threatening companies. What kind of integrity, what kind of career do you have? And a career out of threatening people. And you're proud of that. Oh, Jesus Christ.
When I negotiated my biggest contract ever, I went into the meeting. They had 12 of us there that are going to be on that.
This is what I mean, that these people, like a lot of this is poverty. It's a poverty mindset. The mentality is so gutter. It's so gutter. And look, I'm not trying to knock anyone's hustle. I don't know where she came from. I get it, but I'm just saying we need to get out. We need to get our people out of the gutter. That's just what I'm trying to say.
That contract, and I looked around, and I was the only black girl in the room, and I pulled the PR girl to the side. She's one of my friends, and I said, do you see that I'm the only dark-skinned black girl in the room? She's like, oh, we didn't even notice. I said, of course you didn't. Here's something called diversity tax, and I'm going to charge you for that. And because I know that you need me more than I need you, I need to make you look good.
She sounds like
whatever you're paying your highest white influencer, double it. That's what Spectrum Losers is getting paid. And then I went to her bar mitzvah with her child.
So funny because she thinks she's so, oh my God, I'm so cool. Whatever you're paying your influencer, double it. She sounds like Bobrisky. You guys have to go check out Bobrisky, a Nigerian influencer who is so hilarious. She sounded like him, and she's like all this like ego and narcissism that she's giving. That's what he does. What I'll say to this is the thing about it, she thinks she got him. She thinks she got him. They don't have to disclose to you how much they're paying the highest paid influencer. They can lie to you, which they probably did. Like, did you see the contract? No. So they probably lied to you and just told you, yeah, we're paying this. And they probably still lowballed you. They probably paid you as much as or less than the highest paid influencer because you're not white, honey. You think you're so cool. You're not. It's so funny because like I heard about how scammers basically expose themselves because they're so proud of when people do schemes and scams, they're so proud they got to tell everybody about it. So she thinks, yo, look what I did. I'm so cool. Look at me. Oh my God. You know, that's what she thinks, but she's an idiot. She's basically showcasing her tactics to betray her race and keep black people in poverty, and it's going to affect her. That's the part that gets me. The next brand you're going to work with, they might be racist towards you because you allow it, you enable it to continue to proliferate. And this is what I'm not going to get down with.
Right after. You know what I mean? Moral of the story is this. If you didn't start your brand calling out brands,
I think that's enough. Basically, moral of the story is if you're not if you don't, what would I call it? If you're not gutter, don't listen to her advice. Let me skip that part because it's annoying.
The same rule applies here to me, Kanye, people like that. No matter what I do to brands, like, you know.
Okay, Anyway. Those are my thoughts. Very, very silly girl. Just a lot of coonery, a lot of generational curses that we need to unbreak, that we need to break. That's why I made this long video to break it down for you guys, so you guys can learn from the lessons and not make these mistakes. And you encourage everybody that you know not to make these mistakes. As black people, we cannot be enabling white supremacy. As black people, we need to do two things. Number one, buy black. Number two, have ownership, build our own stuff so we don't have to tolerate this type of treatment. You know, I'm flying myself out. Every year I do my Asia trip. I'm taking myself to Asia. I'm taking myself all these places. I don't need a brand to take me nowhere. Right? We want to put ourselves in that position. And the way that we do that is through ownership. So if this video gets 50 likes, I'll make a video on my other channel, Brand Video Pro, about how to create, as an influencer, how to create a product. 50 likes, guys. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. You're watching Brand Video. No, you're watching the Kenim O Show, and I'm your host, Kenim O. And I'll see you next time. A peace.